Welcome back to my channel. My name is LaShawn and this is Offset with LaShawn. So for those of you who are loyal visitors and viewers of my content, you're probably wondering what is going on with LaShawn. Where is she? What is she doing? What is she up to? Is she ever actually going to return to YouTube? And I'm here to tell you that yes, I have full intent of getting back on YouTube full time. Not full time, but like more consistently. But anyway, I have decided, in the vein of kind of relaunching my channel for the 150 billionth time, to include what I am going to call Offset with LaShawn. So what this is going to be is a space for me on my channel to get a little bit more personal, a little bit more transparent, and a little bit more free to kind of talk about things that I care about outside of politics. I'm still going to be talking about politics and culture and the news and entertainment and all of those things because I genuinely enjoy it, but I kind of wanted to return to the the original purpose of me getting on YouTube to share my opinions, and that was just to do that, just share my opinions about whatever I wanted to share my opinions on. And I felt like creating this space on my channel would give me the space to do that more consistently and more freely. So these videos are going to be of me literally just talking. Okay, there's going to be no articles, no news clips, no videos that I grab from X or Instagram or TikTok. Literally just me, my mind, this mic, and this camera, which is actually how I started things here on YouTube. So I'm actually very excited to get back to doing things that way. These videos are going to be without much structure and without much time limit. It's just, again, going to be me chatting, and I'm not trying to gain views with these videos. I just want to talk. Honestly, I'm not even gonna hold y'all. Like, there really is no rhyme or rhythm or purpose outside of me just being able to say whatever it is that I want to say. So anyway, I guess I could just jump into today's topic for the day, which is entering a new season. And yeah, just talking about what it is to enter a new season. Now, just for definitional purposes, is definitional a word? I really don't know if it's a word. I hope it is. What I mean by entering a new season is basically when you're at a place in life where you feel like things are changing, whether that's like going from like high school to college, maybe entering a new job, maybe just getting into a new relationship. Things are changing, things are evolving. Either your surroundings are changing or you're changing and your mind is changing, your heart is changing, and you feel like God is starting to push you into a new season. Something where it seems unfamiliar, but it feels right at the same time. You're just going into a new, okay? So that's what I want to talk about, because I feel like, and this is where the personal stuff in this space is going to be like, I feel like I'm entering into a new season. I feel like there's a lot of things that I once held really dear to my heart that God is kind of sort of pushing me to let go. I feel like I'm getting to a place where I need to be comfortable with being a little uncomfortable, but there's just new things happening, and navigating this transition has not been particularly easy for a lot of different reasons. And I want to talk about that because I feel like I'm starting to get to the end of it. Maybe so, I don't know, but I thought that it would be helpful for me to kind of just like share my experience with entering a new season and how I've been able to kind of walk through that, obviously with God and so on. So I have listed some points I want to make. So that's something else I'm going to do with these videos. I'm not just going to freelance chat the whole time, which I very well am capable of doing. But I figured it's not going to be as productive and as insightful unless there is structure, because structure is important. My first point here is entering a new season isn't always glamorous. Now, what I mean by that is I feel like every time, especially in Christendom, when you talk about, it's a new season, things are going to change, you're walking into your Eden, you're walking into your promised land, you automatically think like, oh, this is just going to be amazing. Everything is going to change for the better. I'm going to be happy now. This thing that I've been praying for, that I've been waiting for, is finally happening, and everything is just going to be wonderful, and cherries and rainbows and no tears, and everything is just sublime. That literally isn't always the case. If most of the time it's actually not the case, and that is okay. That doesn't mean that you should run away from it or try to avoid it or postpone it or go into it with fear, even if it's not glamorous, even if it's not what you expect it to be. That doesn't mean that it's not as fantastic and as precious as it is. And I think also what I mean by not glamorous is that it's not gonna be It can often happen, I think most times, in the quiet. It's not gonna be always like loud and like boisterous, and you're not gonna necessarily have this. The evidence of the new season you're entering into isn't always going to be obvious to others, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it happens in the quiet of your prayer closet, when you're going through your day-to-day. Not much around you have changed, but that there's a change. There's a new fruit that's growing in you internally, and you feel it, and you're the only one sometimes that knows that this is happening, or you and God, obviously. But like, sometimes people don't see it. It's not always like loud. It's not like, because I know sometimes, again, when we hear about going into a new season, we think, oh my God, everybody's gonna see this wonderful thing that's happening in my life. That's not always the case. Sorry, I feel like sometimes it's actually more oftentimes that it's a lot more quiet than we expect it to be. Point number 2, sometimes it could come with heartbreak. Sometimes you end up losing like relationships and things that you hold dear to your heart when you're entering a new season, because you can't always carry what you've always carried with you and who you've always carried with you into what God is walking you into. I must say though, be careful not to think that like, there's a new thing happening in my life, so I'm just going to cut off my friends, and I can't carry everyone with me, so I'm going to cut off a friendship or a relationship that seems difficult because it's not serving me now, so it's definitely not going to serve me in my new season. Definitely like touch base with God before you let friendships go. However, sometimes it is outside of your control whether or not you are able to maintain certain relationships when you're moving into a new season with God, which is something that happened to me recently, which made me realize that I am actually entering into a new season. I lost 2 dear friends of mine without, input. It kind of dropped me. And at first I was very confused and I still am confused, to be quite honest with you, as to what happened. But when I sat and I thought about it, I was like, LaShawn, what you're walking into right now, for whatever reason, maybe you'll find out later, maybe you'll find out never, those relationships are not going to serve you. And I think also with losing those relationships, I realized that like, there's an old identity that I was holding on to that I had to let go of. And I was scared because a lot of the things that were connected to that identity, like growing up in New York and all the relationships that I had there, my friends, my family, my whole community, that identity that I had in New York meant so much to me. It grounded me. It kept me stable. It gave me something to reference when I was thinking about myself and what it means to be me, in a sense. I hope that made sense. I said sense so many times just now, but anyway, and I was scared to let it go because I'm like, well, how do I identify myself? Like, what roots do I now have to reference if this person that I've known and that people have always known me to be no longer really matches with where I am or where I'm going, if that makes any sense. So I feel like God kind of cut those friendships off to let me know that, one, my identity is in Him first and foremost, and also that like I am to stay rooted in Him and not, the person that I was growing up in New York, and that it's okay also to let those things go. And even though it seemed like those things are the only things that kind of like grounded me, that like, again, He is my foundation and the only thing that actually like honestly keeps me grounded. And when I realized that, one, it made the pain of losing those friendships a lot easier. And it kind of freed me from the shackles of feeling like I had to stay loyal to that identity and that person that I was before, and the relationships that I had that are connected to that person. Like, I can actually just like move forward into this new season and just do so without hesitation of thinking about how it was going to impact the person that I was in the past or the community that created that person, if that makes any sense. But again, be careful. Don't just be cutting people off, because that's also not a good idea. Good things happening can also bring fear, and this is also something that I struggle with. I went through a really hard time last year. I lost my job in the middle of the year. I think it was around June-ish, very unexpectedly, and the next couple of months were rough. Okay, it was not pretty. I had so many moments where I was like, God, literally, where are you? Because like I don't see you. It was just like crisis after crisis after crisis, and I was handling it, most of it by myself. It was very much me and God season. And eventually things obviously started getting better. I got a new job that I actually really like, a schedule that I adore. And so many good things are happening in my life, and I feel the good coming, and I see, things that I've been praying for a very, very long time starting to come into fruition and start to actually be tangible. And I am terrified because, one, there's a part of me that's waiting for the ground to be pulled from under me, because when you're always in like semi-survival mode where you feel like you're always working towards a goal, you're always trying, you're always, grinding and they're trying to get things done. And when you start seeing your hard work and your faith, like, was it playoff? Oh my God, payoff. Lord have mercy. That completely left my brain. When you start seeing the fruits, of the seeds of faith that you've planted, it kind of gets scary because it's like, one, it's unfamiliar territory, let's be honest, and the unfamiliar can be scary. And also there's that fear that like, no, this is not really happening. This is going to fall apart. I have something in my life right now that I cherish very dearly, a relationship that I cherish very dearly, and there's still a small part of me that feels that like, I'm going to wake up one day and this thing that I have grown to really care about is just going to be ripped from under me. And that is fear. But I have to remind myself that God didn't give me a spirit of fear. And that is not of God for me to fear. And I just have to continue to trust in his faithfulness, and not even like the season or my surroundings or the things that are happening, to literally just consistently keep my eyes on him. So if you're like going into a new season of things that like you're really excited about, but at the same time, you're terrified, it's okay, but don't let that stop you from embracing it, which comes to my next point, which is embrace it though. And this is something that I have been struggling with, and I recently had to literally slap myself like, sis, get it together. Like, embrace where you are and the season that God is bringing you into. Don't let fear and anxiety and worry and feeling like you're losing friends or you're losing connections stop you from literally sitting down and inhaling all the goodness of what's happening in your life right now. Like, don't let the devil steal that from you. Like, even if you have to fight for that enjoyment, fight for that joy, you better fight for it, because it's worth fighting for. Okay, so embrace it, even if it makes you very, very, very uncomfortable. And even as I'm sitting here doing this video, and this is something that I've been wanting to do for like months, I've been wanting to create this space on my channel where I can kind of have these more personal conversations. And now that I'm finally doing it, I'm terrified. I'm like, oh my God, what if I upload these videos and one, they do poorly? Again, I'm not looking for them to do, super good, but I do want this to become something. I'm not doing this just for the sake of doing it. I do have a goal here. And I'm like, what if I do this? One, what if I sound like just dumb altogether? What if I sound like I'm just mumbling? Like, there's a million, gazillion, trillion people online talking about the same things that I plan on talking about. What if this is, I'm not, adding anything new to the conversation? What if this is a waste of my time? And I'm sitting here like LaShawn, one, again, that fear and that anxiety is not of God. If God planted something in your mind and said, go do it, and you haven't been able to get rid of the desire to get it done, do it and let God take care of the rest. But I forgot where I was going with that. I feel like I had a thought that I was going to circle back to, and I literally have no idea what that was. But that's okay. So that's all I really have. This is way shorter than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be sitting here talking for literally like 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to end this video here, because when I keep talking, I just like after a while. So I'm going to stop doing that. But I guess what I'm going to close off and say here again, if you're entering a new season, it's okay. Be excited, and, trust God with the rest. And also with my channel in general, if you're watching this, then you must be super duper loyal, because I would have been tired of me too, like a long time ago. Like, thank you for taking the time out to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it.